In the 19th century, the old Waterloo Bridge was a pretty ghastly and grim place, wasn't it?
It was. It's where prostitutes traditionally flung themselves into a watery grave when they despaired of all hope. And it was memorialised by Thomas Hood, who describes taking up tenderly the body of a drowned prostitute.
Now, prostitution was an enormous business in the 19th century. One mid-century estimate said there were 80,000 prostitutes in London, turning over £8 million between them. Huge business, but it was the Victorians who really started cleaning it up, wasn't it?
It was. It was the 1885 Criminal Law Amendment Act, which was designed to stamp out prostitution. But the impact of that was that girls were forced to work on their own, in isolation, in desperately dangerous circumstances.
And made them very vulnerable to things like the Jack the Ripper attacks.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, your book comes right up to the present day. You include things like Belle de Jour, the famous blogger of a few years ago. And you yourself have some experience in the past, I gather, of at least one aspect of this business.
Indeed, I do. I worked for about a year on and off as an escort girl, and it was all very innocent. I think those were innocent times.
That would have been in the 1980s. Catherine Arnold, 4 quick questions that we ask all our authors. First one, how and where do you write?
I write at home, in the bedroom, on my laptop, on an old Cambridge table.
Name a book that's influenced you.
Peter Ackroyd's London.
Give us the name of a book that you would recommend to a friend.
Gemma Bovary by Posy Simmonds.
And are you writing another book? Do you know what it is yet? Are you looking forward to it?
Yes, I'm researching another book on London and crime.
We look forward to it. Catherine Arnold, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
What I'm angry and want to protest about is
the camera work should have shown a little more of
the context within which his comments were being made.
I'll never forget the build-up and then the wonderful feeling, followed by football.
What about the pigs and the sheep?
Or many other serious and proper news stories in the UK.
When you question the news, we question the newsmakers.
I'm joined by the controller of the BBC News Channel. What have you got to say to those viewers?
Newswatch, Friday at 8:45 on the BBC News Channel. Lovers come and go.
Why can't you be proud of me? You're a liar!
But will friends last forever?
Tonight, Trudy's loss is your game.
You know you can't have him, my darling. Kitty, what the hell is going on? He's out of order, Jess.
A touch of jealousy, Siobhan, because you can't have who you want. Don't.
You're not going to even say hello to me. This had better be good.
Mistresses, the final series, starts Thursday at 9 on BBC One.
100 years of home movies.
You never know what you're going to find.
Revealing what British life was really like.
It's like looking through a keyhole at the past.
This is about social history.
BBC Two unearths the hidden treasures in this amazing archive.
Nothing tells the story in quite the same way, with quite the same intimacy, as these films by amateurs.
Great British Home Movie Roadshow, Friday at 9 on BBC Two.
Good afternoon. It comes after years of lobbying from Sarah Payne, whose 8-year-old daughter was murdered by a convicted sex offender. Now parents across England and Wales will soon be able to check if anyone in contact with their children has a history of paedophilia. According to the Home Office, a pilot scheme has already protected more than 60 children from abuse. Our Home Affairs correspondent Andy Ty has the story.
Before Sarah's law, it was up to the police to decide how and when to disclose information about registered sex offenders. Now there's a formal mechanism for parents or guardians to inquire about anyone who has regular unsupervised access to their children. The campaign grew out of the abduction and murder of the schoolgirl Sarah Payne by Roy Whiting, a convicted paedophile. Her mother, Sarah, supported by a national newspaper, said parents had a right to know, and today she gave her reaction.
It's always tinged with sadness, obviously, because it's to do with Sarah. And 10 years, and it marks the sort of the time that she was taken from us. But to be honest, if the schemes saved one child, then all the last 10 years has been worth it.
The pilot for the Child Sex Offender Disclosure Scheme in 4 police force areas has already had 315 applications, with 21 disclosures made, and, according to the Home Office, 60 children protected from potential abuse. The battle for Sarah's law has been long and hard fought, even though it was eventually taken up by ministers in the last Labour government and is now being championed by the coalition government. The real pressure came from outside Parliament, from ordinary parents demanding the right to know about dangerous paedophiles living in their area.